Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I have a special guest, Mr. Howard Enders from Phillips Cohen Associates, which is one of the big global operations that we have within our space. I've been very blessed to have an opportunity to work with Howard and his team for a little over 10 years now in various capacities. How you doing today, Howard?
Good. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing really well. Why don't you tell everybody just a quick summary of what is Phillips Cohen Associates and what you guys do?
We're a collection agency that has a debt buying arm. We operate domestically and internationally. We started back in 1997. We have a couple of attorneys on staff that have led into projects where we had started as sort of add-ons for clients, such as proof of claim filing, and then working on probate accounts, and really found a niche there for us. So what started as sort of add-on or ancillary services grew into their own products. So right now we are in multiple countries. Everywhere other than the United States, we only do deceased and probate work. In the US, we do deceased, cease and desist, DSA work and as well as conventional collection work.
Awesome. So for those of you that are not familiar with Phillips Cohen Associates, I can tell you that one of the things that has impressed me most about the organization is the way in which they handle deceased care. It's a really sensitive matter, right? You've lost a family member and now there's debts that need to be settled, those kinds of things. And the approach that Phillips Cohen Associates has taken has really been impressive because they've developed technology and resources like continuedpath.com that assist people that are going through that process. I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work on the Continued Path website, which literally talks you through, I lost a loved one, how do I go about handling and settling their debts? I want to say it was about 6 weeks after we initially completed that website that I had lost a family member, and actually used that website with my uncle to kind of walk him through, like, what happens next? Now that we've lost my aunt, how do we kind of go forward and what are we going to do? So.
Yeah, we've always looked at it, and you did a great job with it, that we need to take a holistic approach to it. It's not just, this isn't collections 101. This is a specialized product that you need to be compassionate, you need to be caring, you need to be empathetic, and really understand that you're dealing with somebody on the other end of the phone that lost somebody or potentially lost somebody that they really cared a lot about. So we've made sure that we have resources available like Continued Path. We do live transfers to grief counselors, things like that, to make sure that there's really end-to-end service for the consumers that we're coming into contact with.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, it's a really sensitive approach to a difficult subject, and I think that you guys have really knocked that out of the park, which clearly is represented in the way that you all have grown over the past 10 years. Now, tell us where you guys are at these days.
Yeah, so we have our U.S. headquarters is in Wilmington, Delaware. Then we have an office in Quebec, Canada. We have one in Manchester, UK, Melbourne, Australia, Madrid, Spain. We just recently opened our newest office in Dusseldorf, Germany. And then we have a branch office in, that gets serviced out of our Spain office, but in Portugal. So we've really expanded a lot over the past 10 years or so.
I feel like there's some other countries that you cover in there too that I'll throw, like if I remember correctly, New Zealand,
and Ireland and New Zealand. Yeah, Ireland and New Zealand are serviced out of our other offices. It's really been a lot of fun expanding into the different areas. And like I said earlier, it's all 100% deceased in the international markets. But it's really been interesting to watch it grow. I've been with the company since the beginning. So, once you start opening these branch offices, it's learning new markets, learning new cultures and things like that. And I think it's really, as you and I were discussing earlier, with our growth, it's really been exciting in trying to choose the different countries, going through your due diligence and really making sure you understand the market before you make the decision to go into it. Because it's not just, okay, well, here's what your laws are. It's, well, what are the societal norms? How do people view collections? How do people view, maybe a foreign-owned entity, coming into the country, things like that. So I think we've done, a really good job when it comes to that. When we first started, we went really more into the British common law countries. So, if looking at our growth, starting in the U.S., then hitting Canada and the U.K., and then with Australia as well, then started to diversify a little bit into universal succession countries like Spain and Germany. So it's really been it's been interesting as time has gone by, and COVID now has not helped things in trying to keep these offices up and running.
So, as we talk about COVID and looking at what has now become a global pandemic, I'm sure that you guys are facing some unique challenges. And I know through the conversations I've been having at conferences and just kind of chatting with people over the past couple of months, I'm hearing a lot about people looking at international expansion, which is why I wanted to have you on as a guest for Receivables Roundtable. I know you talked a little bit about kind of the legal parameters that you're looking for as you're entering various countries, those kinds of things. Let's kind of walk through maybe a sample. So you just opened one in Germany. What were some of the key criteria that you were really digging into prior to making a decision to move into a new country like Germany?
We have personnel on staff that we hired that their job is to investigate new markets for us. So making sure that we understand the economics, understanding the climate. And again, with our business and deceased, really digging in, meeting with attorneys and other experts who deal with, handle the situations that we deal with in dealing directly with consumers or representing consumers, to make sure we understand, what the legal layout is, as well as what the regulatory regime is in those countries, because everyone is very different. Like as an example, in Germany, they require you to have a qualified individual. And it's not just that you can say, I've been doing collections for, 3 years or something like that. An attorney automatically qualifies. And if not, you have to go through, I believe it's like a 6-month program, and then have a then, there's training after that, and there's a certification that goes on for you to get that. So it's each country has different requirements, even just from hey, can I just walk in and start up a business versus, it's going to take 6 months, a year and a half before you can really get any legs behind it.
Okay, well that's definitely a new way of looking at it, right? It sounds like there's some unique challenges to each location that you're going into, and having an understanding of how your business is ultimately going to affect there. In terms of kind of finding and identifying clients within that space, are you spending more time identifying new potential clients in any given space, or are you basically expanding based on where your clients want you to be?
I would say it's more of us looking to where we want to be, and then trying to use our current clients in other countries as sort of a jumping off point. So using, if a lot of our clients are not just in one country in Europe. So we will use them to sort of, hey, could you give us the introduction over there, and set up meetings and everything. And with today's, being more of being able to do the Zoom calls and being able to use Ring Central and things like that, it makes it a lot easier to have some of those initial conversations versus having to fly all over the world to meet with people.
Well, your passport's probably already pretty full at this point. I mean, I feel like every time I'm trying to reach out to you, you're somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be a good hand me down to my kids, later in life. So hopefully they'll enjoy it.
Well, I've definitely enjoyed kind of, watching from my office here in Florida, all the places that you've been, and then having an opportunity to chat with you about all the different locations that we've been in common, which is pretty cool, as we were kicking off this call today.
Yeah, and the one thing that's nice is, you look at it as you're expanding, and you say, you don't want to go in and be, the big American company who comes in and tries to take over a market and show people how to do things. Where we've really, it's nice to see that the real, compassionate approach and sensitive approach that we started here in the U.S., that we've been able to expand to all the countries that we've gone into. So there's certain, ideals that we won't give up, regardless of what you're allowed to do in a certain country. We put certain, certain safeguards in place, I guess, or things that we are comfortable with that we think should be on every single call. We'll put those in countries even if they're not required by the regulation. So it's just nice that you're able to still, have continuity from that perspective, and be able to still be at your core, the same people, the same ownership, and the same company that you are with the same ideals, no matter where you are in the world. I'm, pretty proud of the way that we've done that.
And I think that you guys have done a great job with it. I mean, having the opportunity to kind of watch how some of the materials, the marketing pieces and the communication pieces online specifically have evolved. You guys don't go through dramatic changes on a per country basis. You basically take the mold that you've created and apply it to a new location.
Yeah, I think with our partnership in the past, you've seen that we try and be on the forefront of technology, making sure that communication channels are open to the consumers, and that's not just in the U.S. That's on a global basis. So it's nice that we've been able to to partner with good partners and also come up with ideas that, like you said, it's sort of not necessarily plug and play, but are applicable to all the markets that we're in, and that consumers and our clients like as an additional offering.
Well, I've never seen anybody who does it quite the way that you guys do it when it comes to dealing with deceased care and probate accounts and really what that whole process looks like. Because taking the approach that you guys have, which is really trying to hold everybody's hand and like you said, providing the grief counselors and all those little things, really does make a huge difference. But let me kind of ask it from this perspective. What's the biggest challenge that you see moving into a new location? So if we decide, if you guys decided, for example, that you were moving into, South America or whatever the location is, it's almost irrelevant. When you start looking at it, what do you consider to be like that big hurdle that you have to overcome within a location before it's a feasible expansion?
I think it's really understanding the culture, because it's like anything else. You can read a law and it makes sense to you. But until a court, really puts it into place or they interpret it, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And I think it's sort of the same type of thing when you go in there, that it says, you can do A, B, and C when it comes to, collecting on a debt. But that doesn't mean that's how it actually happens in practice. So to get to the right people to talk to and to understand what the reality is, and we learned that in Spain. We went to Spain and we met with a lot of different attorneys and industry players and talked about how probate works over there. And once we were there and actually working, we had to completely change our strategy just because the people that we were talking to initially were talking about the law versus the people that were working for us. It changes. So, which is not a bad thing. It's just that it just shows the importance of really understanding how your service works within a culture, and not just because of how it's written in a law book or written on paper, how it should work. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge. Is some of those things you need to almost learn once you're on the ground a little bit, versus just doing all your research from afar, or even just meeting with people there. Until you start really doing it, there's certain things you'll learn as you go along.
Well, I think that says something about who you guys are as an organization and how you've taken what you've done in the United States and expanded it, because the fact that your people, right, as you move into a new country, that your people care so much about the service that they're ultimately providing, that they're looking at those nuances and helping you guys to reshape and improve within each geographic location, I think is really a testament to who you are as an organization.
Yeah, we've done, the people who come to work for us are very loyal. We've done a very good job of picking site directors that truly are vested in our business, and live and breathe it. And you need that. You need that support. So it's been a good experience, all around.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on and chat with me today. I know with everything going on around the globe, you probably have a lot going on right now. For those of you that are watching, really appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below. We'll be happy to respond to each and every client or to each and every question. If you have any, direct questions for Howard, we're happy to forward those on to him as well. I'm sure he'll be taking a look at the LinkedIn thread below this video as y'all are asking questions. And if you have any additional guests that you'd like to see us interview in 2021, feel free to give us a shout. Any topics that you'd like to see us cover and things that you feel are relevant, especially now with new rules and all kinds of other things starting to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of material for us to cover over the coming months. So Howard, thank you again for taking the time to come on and participate today. I can't appreciate it enough.
Oh, my pleasure, and I really appreciate being invited.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Howard.